It's time. We got to talk about the Acolyte. Big trailer yesterday. Everybody's talking about it. Everybody's real mad. And I guess, to sort of explain where I'm at with everything, I got to explain the poster reaction too, right? Because it's been a roller coaster ride. I really didn't like the first poster. I also don't like pretty much anything that Leslie Henlin has said. And pretty much every time, and I read a couple articles yesterday with Leslie. Pretty much everything she says makes me either triggered or be concerned about the show. Now, I will say the trailer, I think it's a good trailer. Okay, I actually think it's a cool trailer. It teases out some really interesting stuff. Costume design looks good. I think the aliens look good. There are a couple of shots here and there where you get that volume-y vibe, but I heard it's not even the volume, so I don't know exactly what it is. But some of the shots look a little cheap, not as lived in as maybe you would want from Star Wars, but it didn't take me out of it, right? So I thought the trailer actually looked pretty cool. I have a ton of concerns about the show itself, but I thought the trailer was cool, okay? Now, the thing is, the reaction to the trailer is fascinating. I mean, people really didn't like it, and it's a weird one because I think it's cool. I think it's a good trailer. It's of course mostly the trailer they showed last time at Star Wars Celebration, the one that leaked, but there were a ton of people out there that were super negative about this trailer. Now, some of them just decided they hate the show. They hate what's happening to Star Wars. They now hate George Lucas, which is another thing we're talking about in a second here. But yeah, so some people are just like haters, right? And that's all well and good. But there were more people than I thought there were going to be that I think legitimately did not like it. Either just didn't like what they think the show's trying to do or didn't like the look of it. Like, way more people than I would have expected were like, it looks cheap, it looks like crap, okay? I don't know if you guys had that experience or not. I was frankly shocked. I was shocked at how many people I saw that were literally just saying like, dude, it literally looks like dog shit. And I'm like, what? I think it looks all right. Like, I don't understand what's going on here. Usually I feel like, I'm feeling mostly the normie opinion. I think I tend to not have very straying, crazy, what's the word I'm looking for? Contrarian? Like, I don't think I'm a contrarian. I think I usually like, kind of right there with most folks. And I'm like, okay, yeah, that looks pretty cool. Or, oh, that looks dumb, and I feel like I have a pretty good finger on the pulse, so to speak. Pause. But with this one, I was shocked at how many people were super negative on it. So let's start by going to the polls. I'd like to know, honestly, what did you guys think of the trailer? That's something I want to know. So it's a little shocking to me that I saw so much negativity surrounding the Acolyte trailer. The trailer itself is getting ratioed like I've never seen Star Wars get ratioed. And that's saying something because there's a very aggressive side of Star Wars fandom that is super anti-Disney, hates a lot of their shit. And by the way, you know what Lucasfilm has done to address that problem in those people? Nothing. They have done fucking nothing. Okay? So that exists, but damn, does it feel like the cows are coming home, so to speak, because this trailer, which again, I think is actually cool, is getting ratioed and people are pretty much full sail rejecting this show. And, I've been going through this with Star Wars and Star Wars shows for the past 4 or 5 years. Doing what I do, I'm very close to these issues and how the fan base feels. I've been on, kind of both sides of different discussions and dramas that come out when it comes to Star Wars. And I'm a person that believes wholeheartedly that Kathleen Kennedy and the culture she's created at Lucasfilm is horrible. And it's a big, big reason as to why Star Wars is failing. Right. So I strongly feel that way. And I've been incredibly critical of a lot of the stuff that they've done. But I had this weird kind of fight with myself yesterday where I was thinking about this whole situation, because part of me is like, damn, it's crazy that now I am the reasonable one. And I feel like the trailer just objectively was cool. And I feel like maybe unless you're looking for problems or you've already decided you hate the show, the trailer's cool. I really do feel that way. But I had then kind of was I had this moment, and this is something that like Adam was talking about with the tweet I made earlier, right? I had this moment where it was actually something my buddy said. It was a couple of weeks ago. I went to Pittsburgh and was hanging out with my buddy. We were playing Warhammer, and we were talking about just, catching up generally. And he said, yeah, it's wild. Like, do you think if you would have went back to yourself around the time of Endgame and told yourself what Marvel was going to be like in the next couple of years, do you think you would have believed it? And I was like, no, fuck. And I had this realization that like, dude, no, it's really fucking bad. And that's true for Marvel. It's even more true for Star Wars. But I kind of had this like moment where I was like, damn, like that kind of hits hard. And if you think about that question yourself, it's kind of heartbreaking. Like, would we have ever imagined that it would be like it is right now with Marvel and Star Wars, like 3 to 4 years ago when shit was going really well for Marvel? You could make the argument that Star Wars had already started its whirlwind decline, but Marvel was on top of the world. You know what I mean? And so when you ask yourself that question, you think back to that, it's kind of eye-opening. So as I was thinking about the Acolyte and the reaction that fans are having, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, I think it might be at a point where even if the Acolyte is top shelf, incredible Star Wars, it might literally be too late. And a lot of people are just going to wholesale reject it. And that's a very fascinating, interesting thing to consider. If you consider that as a possibility, I mean, wow. That's kind of wild. Some of you think that's already what's happened to like a show like Andor, where you're like, oh, Andor's fucking primo, but Star Wars has done so much damage that like nobody's gonna care and nobody's checking it out, right? And I kind of had this moment of clarity last night where I realized the best that I can do as a fan and as a content creator, the best I can personally do is try to be open-minded about a show that, frankly, I have a ton of trepidation about. So that's the best that I can do. And from a certain perspective, that feels like, reasonable and fine. And I think that, there's a level of the water's been boiling for a while. And so as opposed to it all burning down at once, like we're sort of, it feels like we're a frog being boiled slowly. Okay. And I had this realization that sucks. To be a fan of something is to be really excited about it, to get hyped up, to think about it beyond the scope of when you're watching it or experiencing it, to sort of live in that world. And Star Wars used to be that for me. And I used to get, like, even Kenobi. I mean, I got super hyped up for Kenobi, and the ride up was great. I got excited for Boba, man, I even was excited for Andor before I saw it, I even made videos talking about how I thought Andor could save Star Wars, like, literally to that point. There's a meme within this community where I always think the next show will be the thing that saves us or turns us around, right? And I had this really harsh realization that the next big Star Wars thing is something so controversial and from such a weak-ass studio with such a checkered past that the height of the level of hype and enjoyment that I can get to, my best is just trying to imagine a scenario where it's not shitty. And I'm going to continue to do that, and I'm going to try to, like, be reasonable. But I also, if I'm being completely honest, if I take a step back and see that for what it is, it's proof in the pudding. They fucked it, man. They fucked it up. And they fucked it up way worse than I think a lot of people realize. And unless Acolyte shocks me with, like, massive viewership numbers and, like, people freaking the fuck out about it and think it's, like, the best, most awesome thing, I think it's just another sign on a post, on a road that we are going down that is, like, bad, horrible, maybe the worst thing I've ever seen. And I think what I want to do is, like, I obviously don't want to, like, live there and, like, let that animosity grow and get, like, super toxic about it. But real talk, that is how I feel. And I think they fucked it up. I think Acolyte is going to bomb. I think people are going to riot, dude. And the fact that Lucasfilm doesn't understand that it's their fault that the fan base is in this current situation, that it's their fault that people can't even expect quality from the shit they do anymore. It is their fault that the Star Wars brand is hollowed out. We can't even begin to talk about changes. We can't even begin to talk about like it turning around because it doesn't even feel like they get it. It feels like they will literally let it become a walking husk of a corpse and still try to blame toxicity and fans and all this other stupid shit for Star Wars once the greatest brand on the planet becoming what it is now. So how do I feel about the Acolyte trailer? I feel like it looks pretty cool, but I am unfortunately reminded of how far gone the brand of Star Wars is, and I don't even know. Like, it'll be. Let me just say it to you like this. This is one other way that I can put this. It's never been easier for me to not watch a Star Wars show. Like, if I get a whiff of this bullshit postmodern deconstruction of the Jedi, I will stop watching. And it's never been easier for me to do that. I don't even really make Star Wars videos anymore. The only time I really talk about Star Wars is on stream when they're fucking up, which is all the time. So it's never been easier for me to not watch The Acolyte. And I don't know, right now I'm about 50-50. Like, I'm going to give it its chance. But if it is what a lot of us fear it is, dude, it's over. I'm done. I have no problem, zero fucking problem not watching this show. You probably remember this because it triggered the fuck out of a lot of you. I stopped watching Andor. Bro, I have still to this day maybe watched 4 episodes of Andor, maybe 5. Like I said, super easy for me, dude. I'll pull the plug like it's light work. You know what I mean? So that's how bad it is. I would just say too, just to kind of add one more thing onto this, if they can't figure it out in the next couple of years, like if Dave's movie underperforms, if the Rey movie underperforms, which I consider to be almost a damn guarantee, then they need to let Star Wars rest for a while because they killed it, and they will need it to go away completely for at least 3 to 4 years, probably maybe longer. And then they will need to resurrect that brand with all new, fresh ideas and a totally different culture. So yeah, that's my thoughts on the Acolyte trailer. You know, just one more super positive. Star Wars. Here we go. Star Wars.